how the UK state pension works when moving abroad. What I'm going to do in this video is break down how the UK state pension system works firstly. I'm then going to look at eligibility on topping up the UK state pension as an overseas resident, how much money you'd be entitled to and how the increases work, and then lastly, if there's an opportunity of maybe claiming state pensions if you've been working overseas separately or merging them together. So first of all, the UK state pension system. So to be entitled to a UK state pension, you've got to have contributed towards the system for at least 10 years. The full maximum you can get is 35 years, which would be just under £12,000. This does go up by what they call the triple lock, which is either CPI, average earnings growth, or a minimum of 2.5%. In recent years, with inflation being high, these increases have been significant. So it is certainly an attractive option of having a UK state pension. The increases, though, depend on where you're living. So in deferment, which just means you're not in receipt of the income yet, it will go up by this triple lock anywhere in the world. But in payment, which is when you're receiving the state pension, it depends on where you're living. So EEA, Switzerland, or countries where there is a social security agreement with the UK, it will go up by the triple lock. If not, it's flat, so it doesn't go up by inflation at all. And this can have a significant impact on the income that you make from the state pension because it's being eroded every year by inflation. And if you start taking this at 67 and you live to 100 years old, then that's more than 30 years of inflation eroded income, which could have a significant impact if the UK state pension is a big part of your retirement plan. So assessing these is really important, and if you're comparing different countries, you need to know whether or not this is going up by inflation or not. Now, topping it up. To be eligible to top up the UK state pension, you have to have contributed for at least 3 consecutive years. It doesn't matter whether you're a UK national or a foreign national, it's just based on contribution towards the system. And living overseas, you've got 2 options. One is Class 2 contributions, and the other is Class 3. To be eligible for Class 2 contributions, it requires you to be working overseas. And Class 3 would be if you're unemployed. Now, Class 2 is much more attractive because it costs less than £180 per year, whereas Class 3 is just over £900. So there's a big difference in cost compared to what class you use. HMRC will always default to Class 3. So if you do think you're eligible for Class 2, please reach out to them. What you need to do is send all of your employment details of where you've worked during the years that you think you're going to be back paying, and as of this tax year you can only back pay 6 years, whereas before that you could go all the way back to 2006. So there has been somewhat of a restriction on being able to top these up. So you would need to look at the last 6 years and look at how many, where you've worked, and provide them with all of this information so that they have proof that you've been working overseas. What I also did is send them a letter breaking down exactly what this employment was, how I was contributing, etc., just so they had a full picture, because it could take them 6 to 12 months to even respond, and it's going to be in post, it's not by email. So, providing them with all the information straight away is going to potentially save you a year of back and forth with HMRC. So whether or not this is worth it or not. So the way I look at this is, if you take the full UK state pension, which is just under £12,000, and you divide that by the 35 years you need, that gives you just under £350, which would be the income of every year of contribution. So if you're only spending £180 to get a £350 income per year, you've got to live roughly 6 months in your first year of receiving the state pension to get your money back. If it's Class 3 contributions, it's just under 3 years, but everything after that is then income that you have for the rest of your life. So it is really, really attractive to do this for anyone that at least has the ability to do so. Now, if you are working overseas and you're contributing to state pension systems overseas, you have the ability of potentially claiming these separately or merging them together. Now, to merge them together, there has to be an agreement in place. So as I mentioned, the EEA, you can do this across multiple different countries. It doesn't just have to be with the UK. There could be scenarios where, for example, you don't meet the minimum requirement in one country but you do in the other, which means you just merge the one where you don't meet the minimum into the one where you do. If you do meet the minimum in both, you need to assess what the income is going to be from both of these state pensions and whether or not merging them is going to give you more or less. Because there you have the flexibility of being able to potentially take advantage of getting more income. So every country will have different requirements though. It could be a number of years you've had to work there, it could be earnings, so you do need to get this full breakdown, but it's definitely something that's worth planning ahead for, because unless you know what you're going to receive from all of these state pensions, you can't really do a full retirement plan, because you're not going to know what income these bring in. Because this income is going to be deducted by whatever amount you need in retirement and the other assets that you've got. Now, it can be quite difficult to get this information, and it's forever changing. And one big change, for example, was the US. They had something called the windfall elimination provision, which restricted the amount of income that you could receive from foreign social security based on the number of years that you worked in the US. That was abolished at the beginning of this year, which was very attractive for people that had other state pensions outside of the US. So that's just one example of how this is always changing. So if you are looking at assessing, for example, certain state pensions, what the minimum requirements are and what you plan to do with them, we do this for existing clients. So please reach out to us for more information and we can hopefully help.